Green Lantern 23.1, aka Relic, written by Robert Venditti, art by Rags Morales. So, this one's actually kind of strange because the entire book is told in full page spreads. And I just wanted to let that known because it definitely speeds up the pace of the book, but it also makes it feel bigger in a way. I don't, more epic in scale, I guess. I don't know how best to describe it. But regardless, this is the story of Relic. We open up in a different universe, the universe before ours. And it said there were these light. There was this light, this beautiful cosmic light, and you'd think that it was like a dance of cosmic entities, but in actuality, it was a war. There was war between the different lightsmiths. And we see that after this war, all these people were dead, all these people fought, and there was one named Relic, and he wasn't a lightsmith, and he tried to warn all the lightsmiths, hey, stop what you're doing, this isn't worth it. And they sometimes fought against each other, sometimes they had a common enemy, but regardless, Relic tried to warn them the fuel of existence was being depleted. And we get the explanation that in the universe before ours, there's the same emotional spectrum. They had the same colors and the same everything else. They didn't all use rings. In fact, it looks like they stuck to like staffs mostly. But regardless, Relic reasoned that these things, these lights that they're using, they are a resource. And there's no such thing as free energy in the universe. So they have to be drawing from something. Even if they don't know what they're drawing from, they have to be drawing from something, and that something can be depleted. But regardless, we see that they have different names for each of the lights. The red of fury, orange of gluttony, the yellow of terror, green of resolve, blue of faith, indigo of empathy, and violet of passion. And they use lights for literally goddamn everything. From buildings to cars to subways, all of it is made out of lights. And again, Relic puts out there, he calls in all of the different light smiths. He says to all of them, hey, guys, just hear me out. This is my theory. And everyone's just like, you stupid idiot. You just sound like a Luddite. You sound like someone who wants us to go back to the Dark Ages, quite literally, because you want us to stop using light. Ain't gonna work, buddy. We're living large, and if you can find this reservoir, if you can find this thing that we're drawing from, maybe then we will believe you. But as it stands now, piss off. So he decides, well, okay, yeah, sure. And by the way, they call him a relic because, he wants to go back to olden times. Get it? So he says, all right, you know what, fine. You want me to find the reservoir? I'm going to go find the reservoir. I'm going to make a ship. I'm going to go find the reservoir. So he uses all these technology things that he can find, and he goes looking for the reservoir. And what he ends up finding at the edge of the universe is the source wall, or at least some version of it in this previous universe. And he sees that everything that he attaches to it to try to, or anything he touches it with to try to inspect it, becomes part of the source wall itself. So there's no way to really start looking at it. So he's like, okay, well, that's weird. But regardless, before he can even find any evidence of the reservoir, the Blue Lantern Corps, the Blue, whatever they're called, people, their central power battery, or their version of it, starts going out. It starts dimming. And all the lightsmiths call this event the dimming until finally it goes completely out. The converter has gone dark. And so there is no more hope left, or faith, I think there is. So there's no more faith. And with that, Relic starts seeming like he is being correct. So all of the lightsmiths now at this point, they start trying to fight each other for their energy. They try to get everything all coalesced into one and trying to figure out who should be the one to have it all. But in fighting, they keep on using more and more of their energy. And we see that one by one, each of the different cores go out. Every single one of them, including the green core, goes out. And in the very end, when the last one of them goes to die, Relic holds him and just be like, you should have listened to me. You all should have listened. I should have made you listen. And as the last lights go out, turns out that when he says this was the fuel for the universe, he meant it, and that all of the universe starts to just collapse in on itself. Everything just goes out all at once. And as everything starts going to pieces, he makes his way back out to the source wall, which now is crumbling, and it starts having holes inside of it. So he's like, well, I'm going to die no matter what, might as well see what's on the other side of this wall. So he goes through a hole in the source wall, and as he come out on the other side, and it feels like an eternity as he's going through, but as he comes out on the other side, he realizes there's another universe here. And we literally see the blue hand of creation at the beginning, and he's here and he's like, wait a minute, hold on, what? How is this? How can I? What? And as he's there, he starts, coalescing. A bubble forms around him because it is the universe rejecting him, more or less. He's something that shouldn't be there in its infancy, but he's still conscious. He is still seeing things that are outside of it. And over the eons, eventually, Kyle Rayner and the Guardians arrive, and he's like, wait a minute, hold on. You guys are using light. I don't approve. So he busts out of his bubble. He goes to attack them, and he says, I am going to make you listen this time. I refuse to let another universe die. And that's Relic's origin. So here's the thing. In the Green Lantern New Guardians book, this is all pretty much mapped out already. It feels like this is just kind of a recap with a bunch more pretty images. I do appreciate us getting more into the backstory of what the previous universe actually looked like. I actually think it's a pretty cool concept to say, like, no, there are things, there are constants across not only like parallel Earths and stuff like that, like there's always a Green Lantern there, but even in a prior universe, there were Lantern Corps. Even if they didn't get called that, there were people who worked with the emotional spectrum. And I like that. I think it's an interesting concept here. That being said, Relic as a villain, I don't dislike him, but he feels far too dispassionate, I guess. That's the wrong word, but it's the closest I can get, in that his entire thing is that he wasn't pushy enough. He didn't tell them, like, hey, you gotta listen to me. And I guess it's the same sort of thing of like every scientist in DC Comics, where it's like, hey, everybody, listen up. And they're all just like, pshaw. I mean, that's most scientists in the real world too. But regardless, I think that turning him into a villain now and saying he's the bad guy, like, is he? Like, I just don't feel like he's quite villainous, really. I feel like he's more so a neutral character that can be reasoned with. But who knows? Maybe he is a bit more hard than that. I just didn't get that from this comic. But we'll see what happens when we pick up in Green Lantern soon enough. Overall, I'm going to say this issue, art is great. It looks fantastic. I do think there are a few pages that are a bit weird, but it definitely felt like it was an epic scaled issue, even if it went by very quickly. So I'm going to give this one I'll give it a 7.5. It doesn't quite feel like it gets the 8 on that, but it is still very good. I think that it does a good job of at least selling this idea of the previous universe, even if it doesn't quite sell me on Relic.